I'm really sitting here shaking my head. I'm sitting here healing. I got my tooth surgery. My eyes getting better. I got the file, get all that dead off my back paws. And I get a call from my son Boogie, like, guess what? Cam just called me, sent me some money so I could go on an interview. Cam, this is a whole new level of low. It's just not proper conduct to bring children or my children or anyone's children in. And I know Larry made the call, but to try to divide a family and take advantage, manipulate my child, all because you're too scared to have a direct conversation with me about the things you said about me, it's just not the way it's just not the level. It kind of shows your pedigree.
Yeah, for me in particular, that's the line right there. I say it all the time, even when it comes to the internet. And I know that the internet don't necessarily have no rules, especially when people don't know you in real life, because everybody come from a different culture. They come from a different background, a different family, a different part of the United States of America. But one thing is always universal. You know what I'm saying? Family, kids, wives, they've always been off limits, 100%. Now, when people react to certain things because people volunteer that information online, meaning, let's say, for example, if a woman is doing a video where she's saying that she's getting divorced and she left her relationship and all of this other type of stuff, then I'm going to comment on that particular video. You know what I'm saying? Off of her rhetoric in order to illustrate an example or to, use that as a jump off point to have a bigger conversation with the general audience about what is going on. But when we talk about personal, right? Personal issues or a personal attack on somebody, when you're trying to hurt them or you're trying to degrade them or you're trying to make sure that you say something wild, the number one thing that's off limits, even before the wife, and I ain't talking about no girlfriend, even before the wife, the number one thing that you always leave off limits, and I don't care how old they are, you always leave the children off limits, especially if you know the person. If you know the person and you still attacking them and you trying to get an interview with it, it's a level of petty that you just got to stop. And I don't like that, bro. I'm not rocking with that. And you have to start questioning the character of the people that are around you if that is something that you witness them doing. Like that's something that you got to handle behind the scenes. And I'm not saying that people need to be so vocal about it openly. I know that Cam is a petty king. You know what I'm saying? I seen how he went off and he went deep, when it came to Melissa Ford or, the hiring, what is his name? Omar Gooding Jr. or Omar Gooding, him hiring him in order to try to get back at him when they going back and forth with their battles. I observe and I pay attention to what's happening in the culture. And then now I've been seeing him and Dame go back and forth as far as telling different stories about, why they not seeing eye to eye or why they not rocking with each other when they used to be as thick as thieves, right? I remember Dame telling plenty of stories about how it is that he might have helped Cam get out of his deal or sign a Rockefeller. And then obviously, that the whole Cam and Jay-Z thing. And then I seen Cam going back and forth with Jim Jones and then, aligning with 50 and Jim aligning with 50. Like, I'm familiar with what's happening in the culture. It's not something that I talk about often. But when we start to talk about the way that we need to operate as individuals and as people, I think that there is a line that you cross. And one of the lines that you cannot cross, in my personal opinion, is you don't talk about or start to go into or start to offer money to people's kids, especially if they your homeboy or they used to be your homeboy. I would never reach out to my homeboy's wife. I would never reach out to my homies or my former homies' children, especially if I start beefing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm never going to use your family against you. And I don't know where the rules are. Like, is there any rules now that we on social media with the internet and all of that stuff now? Is there any more um is there like a level that you can't get to? Because there's always unspoken rules. There's unspoken rules when it come to the dope game. There's unspoken rules when it come to criminal activity. I guess it ain't no more because everybody's snitching. It's unspoken rules when it comes to interacting with your friends and how you supposed to treat the people that surround you and all of that. But man, this is a wild, wild west, and it's tripped out because it's the OGs. It's what's supposed to be the OGs and the older people above 40 and 50 is how they are supposed to move. And I've, had my disagreements with some of the things that Dame says online. And, I've had my jokes or two or whatever as far as, whether or not he was giving away a Rockefeller chain and all of that stuff. But this is different. You know what I'm saying? I've largely even stopped commenting on stuff like this because it's starting to get a little bit too personal and I don't like the personals. Let me hear the rest of what Dame got to say.
Pettiness. And right now, I think your pedigree for messing with over this, trying to fuck with my family, I'm just disgusted. And I'm not proud. And I think you should be ashamed of yourself. You, Larry, you have children. You have a family. And you are going to use my kids or whatever trauma that you think they have or separation and dividedness. I don't know why you would think that. To make whatever point. This is how you treat people you grew up with that helped you. This is how petty. I wouldn't suggest you did this with any enemy, any op. In gangster shit, it's like you keep the kids and the family out of it. But again, this is too, you're too sensitive, Cam. This is not the way I would expect you to conduct your business. Try a little better, get a little neater. Every time you say something, I hear about it as you're saying it. It's never like a surprise. But my children, Boogie?
Yeah, that's wild.
You sent the man money? You think he's going to jump out the bridge or jump off the bridge for $5,000? You sent him $2,500? You should be ashamed of yourself, man. Someone should talk to you. I know Mace, and I know the girl next to you. I know your crew can't be jacking that pause. I know they can't tell you, yo, that's dope. Go fuck with his family. That's crazy, bro. Come on, man. Go scour the internet and find something different, bro. Make some shit up or something, but don't do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I also don't think that this has anything to do with Mace either. Everybody moves on their own accord and everybody moves according to what their principles and their morals are. And so you can't say how people should or shouldn't, or you can't hold somebody else accountable for it because, this don't have nothing to do with everybody else. But, I do think that could be a character flaw. To put it nicely, I think that that's a character flaw. If somebody is willing to attack somebody's family, Dame is being absolutely nice and generous even talking about this online. Because once it crossed that, I wouldn't even be talking about it online no more. I would just be absolutely done with this. Honestly. And he's saying, yo, God bless and still love you and all of this stuff. This is different, bro. It's different. I would never even have no conversations at this. I think that he said he did it in order to expose the situation. But for me, it wouldn't even be nothing after that. You know what I'm saying? Either you'd have to walk away completely or you would just have to have it up. Either way, it wouldn't even be nothing else to comment about at that point for me. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments about this.